Between the Pages podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the power of the tongue and helping kids speak life.
Yeah, the tongue.
Yeah.
Who can master it, right? Yeah, and I'm Jimmy. This is Sarah. This is our podcast. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Yeah, that's a good topic for discussion because growing up, there was like sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that's just not true.
Yeah, words are really powerful. One sentence can change the whole mood of the house.
And you could say something to someone and it lasts forever.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of words out there that are really should never be spoken out of a Christian's mouth. But, people are human and not make an exception for it. But
and this isn't the plan of the show, but it's like even the other day I said I don't care. And I was like, that's not what I meant. That's the wrong word. And it's like, it doesn't matter to me who helps, just someone. I don't have a preference on who grabs this. But when you say I don't care, people get like a negative tone. So it's even simple words.
Right.
Even if there's no anger or anything, emotion behind it.
Yeah, there's some things, you try to reason with someone about, and they're headstrong, they're going to do it their way, and it's like, okay, well, I don't care, I'm just trying to help you.
Yeah.
But, those were probably the wrong words to say, it's like.
Well, I think she was like, who are you looking for? And I'm like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me who it is. I just need somebody. But I was like, no, that's not the right word I'm trying to say.
Because you do care.
Yeah, I do care.
So it's probably better to say I care, but if that's what you want to do, but yeah, sticks and stones thing, sometimes people say, especially kids, they're pretty brutal.
Oh yeah.
And they're
very blatantly honest.
So somebody can say something in class or on the playground or around the house or something, and you carry that around for years.
And the opposite, that person might carry it around for years. The person who said it.
Yeah.
And the other person may have forgotten about it, and then you're holding on to it for years because you're like, wow, I shouldn't have said that. I can't wait to see that person again to apologize, and you may never get to see that person.
Oh yeah, odds are you probably never gonna see him again. And so, and if you do, and you bring it up,
like, what are you talking about? I don't remember that. That happened?
That happened?
You said that?
Yeah, or I said that, or we did that. I don't remember that. It's like, okay, and here you are. You've been, and that's why I say, the thing is the past is something that really doesn't exist. You can look at it in photographs or you can look at it on video, assuming you have something like that. But as far as being able to touch it or, sense it or feel it, that's not possible.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people live in the past, though. And, that's not a good place to be because where you're supposed to be living is in the present.
Yeah.
And so if you're constantly bogged down, if you will, or in bondage to the past, then you can't fully live the present, because there's always that baggage or that, or whatever it is your thing. And I don't think Jesus intended for you to be that way.
Yeah.
I don't think he intended for you to live that way. It doesn't mean that you don't learn from past experiences and go, oh, okay, yeah, that was not a good event, or that was not a good action, or place or time. Don't go back and do it again.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Don't repeat the same problem.
Well, that was the whole. You teach your kids that you can't take the words back, and so just to be careful about what you say when you are talking.
Yeah, they don't really have feather pillows anymore. But when we were kids, they had feather pillows. And sometimes you'll see on television and shows and stuff, kids are having a pillow fight, and the end comes open, and then the feathers all come out.
Yeah.
That's the way your mouth is. It's hard to put the feathers back in once they're out.
Yeah.
And so, and I've come to realize, too, that it's all a part of the way people think. Like, right now, before I say the words I say, I hear them being said.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've come to know that a lot of people don't think that way.
Yeah.
They don't hear that way. So they just say whatever comes up.
And then they're like, oh,
I shouldn't have said that. and that kind of thing. And so the thing is, you know, people have there's things like, choose your words carefully.
Yeah.
Well, for some people, they're not even choosing their words.
Yeah, they're just saying
They're
whatever,
just
and
saying,
they're like,
and
oh man.
and then I hear people sometimes say, "Well, I like to talk to myself because I like to hear someone intelligent talk." Well, that's kind of funny in a way, but I realize there's some people who don't even talk to themselves.
Yeah.
Because they don't. That's not something they do. And so, and people, I mean, I've known people who are like, after something happens, they're like, "Oh, well, I wish I had said, or I should have said, or I could have said," or some kind of thing like that. And you're thinking, well, there's no reason to think about what you could have done or would have done or should have done unless you think you're going to be faced with that same type of scenario at some other time in the future.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you can do about the past.
Yeah.
The past is the past and it's what it is. And so sometimes it's like the exact opposite is I shouldn't have said. Instead of I should have said, it's, well, I shouldn't have said that. I should not. Well, now that's something you can work on. Like if you truly believe you shouldn't have said something, then perhaps maybe you might want to think about, when it comes up again in the future, just don't say it.
Yeah. Well, that's when the teaching your kids to give better phrases. So instead of saying shut up, oh, please stop talking.
Right.
Something like that. Or instead of move, say excuse me. Just simple
like
switches.
Instead of yelling out,
and that kind
be quiet. You say, well, do you think you could tone it down a little
Yeah.
bit or something, or something of that nature.
And that kind of goes into, the whole out of the overflow of your heart is what you'll speak. And so too, teaching them to, stay connected with God and pray and everything and fill your heart up with God, and then you won't even think to say mean things.
I mean, if you have a kind spirit about you, then most likely you're going to have kind spirited words. And the book of James talks about, like the tongue is a difficult thing to master. And one of the, whether it was constructive criticism or what, somebody told me once, they said, Jimmy, you have 2 ears and 2 eyes and 1 mouth. Use the others, the ears and the eyes,
twice
more than you use your mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of said, oh, okay, I probably should, cut my words down. But then there's other times when you want to make sure that you convey all the information, the correct information, in order for, especially if someone's going to be making a decision based on what you tell them. You want to make sure they have all the facts. And sometimes it can get a little wordy doing that.
Yeah.
And, but, some of these people that, talking people that you see, they just, this word salad thing, it's like just a bunch of jumbled up words. And you're just sitting there going, understand that. I mean,
it's like the teacher said it needed to be a 500-word essay. And they only came up with 250. Yeah. So they just added filler words.
Yeah. You're just asking for simple directions. How do I get to the town hall? And the next thing the person's like, well, you go down here, you wait 300 seconds, you turn left, you go 90 degrees, and you say, before you know it, you're like, telling me.
Yeah.
When it would have been easier. See that text go down there, turn left, go about 100 yards, you'll be there. Or something, I mean, just use visual aids or whatever. But so it's all about, how to communicate. And sometimes the more simpler is best.
Yeah.
And so, as a child, you're still learning not to give in to your I guess you have the id, the ego, and the superego. And the id has the I want it now. It doesn't care. It's just like, I want it. And you can tell babies that cry because they want, food or diaper change or, something, they're not comfortable about something. And so they just cry. Instead of, as they get older, they learn to ask, oh, could I have more, potatoes, please? Kind of, kind of thing or something, right? And we're gonna have more of this or more of that, or I need to lay down. They get more in control of their id, their ego becomes. And then there's some people that just whatever. And so it's that. And so how do you got to nurture that? You got to, as part of that rearing process that we talked about, you got to like guide the child in a good direction. And there's different books you can read about that. But I was a really good source on controlling your tongue, controlling your emotions, being careful what you look at, being careful what you listen to, those kinds of things.
Yeah, and encourage the speak life habits and do one encouraging sentence, every week, at least per day even, and build the habit of give an encouraging,
there's like
something to somebody else.
You mentioned before the podcast, there's several songs that Hawk Nelson, the words.
Oh, I said the power of the power of the tongue, helping kids speak life. And if you don't know what that means, go listen to Toby Mac.
Yeah, Toby Mac and Jeremy Camp has a song about speak life. And like I say, words by Hawk Nelson. Let my words be true. Let my words speak life. That's what you want to build up. You want to edify. You don't want to tear down. I mean, because it's easy to tear down.
Yeah.
Tearing down is easy, but developing.
Yeah, it takes like months to build a building, and you tear it down in 2 seconds.
And you can, no matter who the person is, you can always find something about their personality or their appearance or something or whatever that you just don't like. And you instead of focusing in on the things that are positive that you do like, you have a tendency to focus in on that one. Disparage a person.
Yeah, on a sort of the same but different now. I heard something like yesterday about that, and it was this preacher, and he was talking about how it was a meme that said like, therapy's invented, fast forward 120 years, now we're living in like the most unstable time frame, possible. Not possible, but, and they were like, it seems a little backwards that there's more people going to therapy and there's more people with issues and problems and mental situations going on. And it's like people have replaced going to therapy with God instead of turning to God and doing things like that. And one of the things that he said was, well, yeah, if you go into a room and just focus on what is going on that's going to affect me, what's upsetting my, my brain or my feelings, then that's all you're focusing on. That's all you're going to be upset about, all of those things. You're going to hold on to all of those things. Whereas if you flip it the other way and,
well, that's
look for all the
it's tried and true. If you're always focused on yourself and you're always focused on your problems and your needs and your wants, and there's nothing wrong about thinking about yourself and trying to make yourself better. But one of the things that'll take your mind off your problems is going to help someone else.
Yeah.
As soon as you're helping someone else, you're not really thinking about yourself too much anymore, and you're thinking about them.
Yeah.
And you're working to help them. And so, yeah, the Book of James talks about mental stability and mental health and that kind of thing. And, you don't have to spend $400 an hour in therapy session to read the Bible. You can get a good Bible for $10, maybe less, if you get it at the thrift store like you do.
Yeah.
So you can get a good Bible for.
Well, actually, a lot of thrift stores give Bibles out for free.
That's what I'm saying. You can get a lot of good reading material for hardly any cost. And if you take for instance, like we were talking about, I think there's 30 some Proverbs. You can read one proverb a day.
Yeah.
By every month, except for like February when there's only 28 days. But, just read an extra 2.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can read one a day for a month, and you've read the whole book of Proverbs.
Yep.
And the thing is it depends on how you want to do that again next month and the month after that and the month after that. Well, what you'll find is eventually you have a different thought process.
Yeah.
Your brain's been washed a little bit or something. Something's happened to you, and you're now thinking a lot in a different type of way than you were previously. What I do is on Sunday, whatever day of the month it is, the date wise, like today is the 18th. Tonight, I will be reading Proverbs 18. And next week, I'll read Proverbs 25. And during the course of the year, basically, you'll read 12 or so or 52 different Proverbs, and, you're probably going to hit them all because the day of the week changes based on the number of days in the month and that kind of thing. And so, that's just something I do, in addition to all the other things we do. So, yeah.
So, that's our challenge for you this week, to speak life. Find one encouraging sentence to say to each person each day, and go read Proverbs.
Yeah, it doesn't take.
I have some more on Proverbs coming up in another podcast.
We'll have to maybe tag it up with this one. I guess the other aspect of it doesn't take a whole lot to, people are kind of short on salutations these days. They don't, and greetings. It doesn't take a lot to go, hi.
Yeah.
And I read this book one time, Skill with People, and it's a good, interesting book, but, most people are only interested in themselves. And so what you got to do is take the focus off yourself and let other people talk about themselves. But if you want to be an agreeable person, there's one thing you can do that kind of helps people. Smile. Just smile. Just smile at somebody and say hi. That is like a major big deal.
Yeah.
As far as getting along with people. If you're a grumpy person with a sour looking disposition all the time, people eventually get to the point where they dread coming around you. So they just like avoid you. Well, and then you're wondering, why is that? I'm just being me. Yeah. I'm just doing whatever. I'm just it's like, well, maybe you might want to change who you are or something. So you got to start that when they're young. You got to create a cheerful disposition. Some people it comes natural, but other people it has to be taught. So, yeah.
That is all we have for you this week on the Between the Pages podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and like, subscribe, and share, comment for more Between the Pages podcast. See you next time.
Thank you very much.